Ready to rock and roll. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 10th Career Development Center Board meeting. I would like to have public comments if we have any. Seeing none, we will move on. I'd like a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Excuse me?
So
for
moved. Oh, go ahead.
For the superintendent's evaluation. It's a personal matter. Go ahead, Randy.
So moved.
Thank you. And Ken seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. And should we go into the criminal? Okay.
I like to come back from executive.
Yes, I need a motion to come out of executive
So moved.
session.
Second.
Okay, very good. Fran made the motion, Ken seconded. I can feel I'm losing control.
Yes.
Here, I think. All right. We went into executive session to discuss our superintendent's evaluation. And the committee, which was made up of Jackie Kelly, John McDonald, Leon Johnson, and myself, spent three, I say long days, they're about 3 hours apiece, going through all the paperwork, discussing what he's done, what he is going to do. And when we got all through reviewing his goals from last year, setting 4 new goals for this year, we come to the determination that the performance of our superintendent is excellent. This was all based off policy 2600, and we went right by the letter of the law right to the end and didn't find anything that we weren't happy with. We do have a few recommendations that we are going to make to him as the year goes on. But as far as I'm concerned, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members want to pipe in?
You mean an attaboy?
Well, for the public, the documents to go to be approved and go to the summative one. We had a summative that Mike and Rick would need to sign with those goals at the end. And so I can read part of that to go through it along that line so that you know what they were, because they're just this board, as Rick mentioned, what we did was 2600, the other things that we did along that line, but the goals that came out at the end and that the public really needed to know in terms of that, where we made sure that we walked through it and did a developed additional satellite programs or options for the CTA program, but that was a place, but rather an experience that would like to expand upon in terms of goal number 1. So we talked about those things down, and that's what you have down for the goal number 1. 2 was we talked about expanding a more early college and increased articulation agreement with post-college partners for another goal, and then revise and update job description, organizational charts, and program offerings. That's another goal. And to work with boards to increase committee program advisory involvement in terms of changing the structure of how we go out and reach and do things in terms of the technical center and supporting our classroom structures, supporting our programs through the advisory committees. So those are the main 4 things that we needed, that we got for goals going along, and we also recommended that we do several several reviews during their board meetings for how some of the programs worked in terms of the pay scale program that was being implemented in one of the goals, that we do a presentation on those things out there. So those things are noted in here. So all Rick need to do is you and Mike need to assign, this copy, sign it and put that in his files, because that's what he needs to have in terms of a review. Okay,
You all set in on that?
that's
Bert?
it?
John, anything you want to say?
No, I think that the superintendent did a good job and made the evaluation process relatively simple. Yes, it took time, you know, it took 9 hours or whatever, but it was, we learned a lot, and with regard to the overall process and how things were going here at school, so it was a good thing.
Anything extra, Jackie? Or
No, I continue to be impressed by what Mike does and what he does even before we anticipate what he should do. And the upcoming announcement, the next motion that I'll make is one of them. So,
well,
have at it.
have at it.
Okay.
Absolutely, please.
So I'd like to, we had a meeting with the Education Committee and the Finance Committee. And one of the topics was to approve a purchase because the
Excuse me.
Oh.
I thought we were going to be talking about Mr.
Oh, no,
Wow.
no, well,
I wasn't ready for the other
Okay.
committees yet. My apologies.
all righty.
Sorry about that. Okay, I guess other than that, do we need some kind of a motion that says that we reviewed it and,
I'd just like to compliment Mike because I've been around a little while, and I like the way his leadership and take charges. I mean, going over to Hoosick, getting some students over there, going up to BBA, a successful program at Arlington, getting the CDL licenses over here, the articulation working with Mac Molding, and that's all these things that you're not just sitting in an office, you're actually accomplishing a lot of things that improves the life of the students and the adults that live in this community and his surroundings. So, you know, I think he's doing a great job, and, you know, just keep it up, that's all.
Thank you.
thank you, Ken. I agree.
I don't know
Okay.
whether with having a motion to approve the summary of the superintendent's job performance and that Rick and him should sign it and have it placed in his file for this
Lean
year.
made the motion.
Second?
Mike, second. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Thank you. We'll move on. Okay. In your packet or on the Dropbox, excuse me, there's the consent agenda, the minutes of the regional board meeting of Monday, May 13th, 2019. May I have a motion?
I'll move them. Second?
Franny move, Ken second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Payroll warrants, 1,049 and 1,052.
So moved. Second?
Franny moved, Ken second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Vendor warrants, 1,050 and 1,051.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Franny moved, Ken second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Also in the packet and the Dropbox are the cash flow and the revenue and expenses. Anybody have any issues? I don't think you would, but no, we don't. Let's go to committee reports. Now it's your turn.
Okay. The Education Committee met briefly before this meeting, and we were presented with information about a new class coming to the CDC. It's called the Graphic Arts Computer Lab. And this lab will be set up for next year. And in order to have the classroom redesigned, we need between $35,000 and $45,000 to purchase 18 Mac computers, 1 smart board, 1 instructor workstation, and 1 wide format printer. So I'd like a motion.
Move the motion, but I would, if the wording in the minutes, that the wording that these things are coming back to the Career Development Center, not new to the Career Center. They're coming back. They've been away for a while. If you don't mind having that change, that makes a difference in the minutes for the people reading it. I think that these programs were here and they were out, and now we're bringing them back.
Thank you. So the motion was made and seconded.
Second is made by Fran, I think second by Ken. Any further discussion? Seeing none, raise your right hand. Okay, you have anything else you want to talk about under education and facilities?
That's it.
Okay, we had a policy meeting also, right, Leon?
Yep.
Want to talk about that briefly?
Yes, the policy committee met this afternoon to approve the minutes from our previous meetings, and we reviewed our dress code policy. We formulated having one, what previously didn't have one for just the Career Development Center, so we wanted to make sure we incorporated all of the sending schools districts' dress code, and that they realized that we have a policy restriction based on programs themselves that they would have to adhere to. So that's all entailed in our policy, which would be new to the center, C5080, and that'll be ready for our next meeting in terms of a warning. We also looked at a combined policy of 6141, which is computer network and internet acceptable use, and we rearranged that policy to take out some of the body and put it from in the policy and put some things into administrative regs. And so that's what took place there. And then we also reviewed another policy that was dealing with our organization structure, job descriptions, and administrative regs. And we decided that we'll decide by next time whether it needed to be in 7100C or whether it needed to be in 7195. But what that did was provided a location so that we could look at the Career Development Center organization structure, look at what the job descriptions are according to one of the goals that the superintendent has, and the administrative regs that go along with the policy. So it addressed all of those issues out there. And that was it.
Okay. Thank you. I need to send the discussion back to education and facilities to talk a little bit about the driving simulator that we are thinking about owning. Go ahead, Jackie.
Okay, so the committee did discuss receiving, I'd say receiving because we're going to purchase it, but it's really not our money. We're just purchasing it and will be reimbursed if everything is approved. And it's called a CDL simulator. And it's similar to an airplane simulator, only it's for trucks. And what's interesting is it fulfills the requirement, kind of like out of classroom and hands-on requirements that students need before they actually get in a truck. You know, you won't want somebody to get in a truck for the first time and not know or have a feeling for what it feels like, you know, driving it. Having had that experience, I can tell you it's really frightening. If everything is approved, part of the grant that we will receive for it is a shared grant. So it will be shared with other school districts such as Wyndham and Hartford, and I forgot the other ones. I didn't write them all down, they went too fast. The cost for the simulator is $67,000, but it will, the initial consideration has been approved, but we haven't received the final approval. So we're waiting for that, and we're waiting for this wonderful opportunity for our students to get experience off-road, so to speak. And this piece of equipment will be housed in the school. When other schools borrow it, they transport it and insure it to go to their school for a couple of weeks at a time. But for the most part, it will be here. So we're waiting in, pardon?
I want a motion that moves it.
I don't know if we can, yeah.
Well, we'll approve we need a motion to approve the request, correct?
Right.
The purchase contingent on the grant.
Oh, thank you.
Contingent on
Motion-
the approval of the grant, yeah.
Can do
A
that.
motion to approve it
Okay.
contingent upon the grant.
So moved.
Second.
The discussion, I'd like to add.
Leanne made the motion, and Mike or John? John
Yes, and
seconded.
the grant might come through during the summer, so it's very important that if we're not able to be here to approve it, that we pre-approve it, correct?
No, that you have the chair and the vice chair and the
Sure.
clerk to
Clerk.
work to be able to come in and sign if necessary, because what we're doing is saying we all in favor of it, and depending on the grant, and then to have another board meeting, one of those will have to come in and just sign it.
Thank you. So all in favor? Unanimous.
That's- Okay. Let me see what else we've got here. There's some action items, but I wonder if this would be a good time to have a little discussion about our July meeting. We're not having it. And if there's things that come up that need to be looked at. I think you had a couple of things you were talking about. One was this simulator. There was another thing I thought.
One is the simulator. You've already given me approval, I believe, on the upgrades for the graphic arts lab. But all positions are hired for next year with the exception of the business manager. Interviews are taking place sometime early next week. So that will need to be filled before your August meeting. So as traditionally in the past, normally you give me the authority to hire over the summer and you approve the nomination at your August meeting. What you've done in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have no problem with it. Do you need a motion that we give you that authority?
But I thought you already,
You already-
authority is for you guys to come in and sign.
No, he's talking about for the hires.
For the hire.
But
For the hires in
you're hiring.
July.
But you just need approval. I mean, you're gonna make the recommendation.
I thought we
But then you have a board chair, and then you guys, you can sign in between if we're not having a meeting, is what we're saying.
It's fine with me. I have no problem. I just thought that, especially the hiring, I thought I had to go before the full board.
It will come to the
Yeah,
board
ours.
later on, but
That'd be
you're
something.
gonna, then to prevent certain, on that bottom of that contract, always it has a note or something that says that you're hired pending approval of the board or something.
Right, and I always tell every new hire that
Of the full
it has
board.
to come to the full board. There usually isn't a problem, but it's, it's a formality that's the way it works.
I'm here to do the bidding for you guys. No problem. So let's, we will move on to some other things, but for now, I would say that we're not going to have a July meeting, folks. The next meeting we're going to have will be the second Monday?
Yes, second Monday of August.
There you go. If I'm on the board another 10 years, I'll figure it out.
August 12th.
Okay, we have action items. We need to adopt a policy C-7300 for public participation, board meetings.
I'll move it. Second.
Franny moved, Ken second. Any discussion? Seeing none, raise your right hand, please. In favor. Nominations, graphic art design and paraprofessional for transportation. Mike,
You want to take them separately or together?
take them separate, I guess.
Okay. The first nomination is for the graphic arts and design instructor. The nomination form in your Dropbox or in the packet. The nominee is for Elizabeth Kane, unless she prefers to go by Betsy Kane. She has a master's in fine art from New York City, and a bachelor's in fine arts in photography from Mass College in Boston, and her New York State teaching certification. She's worked at the Vermont Arts Exchange, as an art educator, at the Bennington Museum. She's an artist and owner of her own shop, and also shop assistant at the Jennifer Mars Photography in 2011. There were 6 applicants received, 3 interviewed, and a recommendation unanimously from the committee is for Betsy Kane.
So moved.
Second.
Leanne made the motion, Franny second. All in favor, raise your, or discussion, down, seeing none, raise your right hand. Okay, move on. Next.
The next nomination is for a paraprofessional transportation. This is not a new position, it is for retirement from Dwayne Metcalf. The nominee is for Linda Davitsky. She is currently a tech specialist paraprofessional in the SVSU. She has an interesting background in various service positions. She's worked in business and industry, including in manufacturing, the food service group, and the Wyndham Southwest Supervisor Union as a cook manager. We received 3 applicants and 1 were interviewed. So we're recommending Linda Davitsky for the position of paraprofessional technical specialist.
So moved.
Lee made the move, Franny second. Discussion?
School year, right?
Correct, it's the school year employee, yep.
All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Good, unanimous. Okay, credit card increase.
So the school district, we have several store cards like Home Depot and Tractor Supply, those things for our purchasing. We've also had a school MasterCard or Visa, I don't remember which it is, MasterCard for many years. And as you know, doing business today, you need a credit card to book things like air travel and hotels and things like that. So usually in March or April, we run up against our limit, which is currently set at $10,000. It has been for a long time. And we just bump up against it all the time. And so we're asking for an increase from $10,000 credit limit to $15,000 credit limit. So that we don't, what's happening, and it has happened in April, May, June, we're paying the card like every single week. So that's why you're having to come in and sign off warrants all the time, because we have to pay the balance down in order to book another trip or something for skills. You know, I mean, the airfare alone for skills was like $8,000. So it just, we don't need it all the time, but we can't lower it and increase it when we want to. We have to have a set limit. So we're asking for that resolution tonight.
I have a question. Do we have a reserve fund?
Not for that kind of stuff.
No. Does the school have a reserve fund?
For equipment.
Only for equipment and for building improvements.
Yeah. And how much is that?
Well, it sits right now at, the capital is for FY20 will be $142,000, and the equipment reserve $239,000. However, we just used a little bit of that for this year. So
Yes.
even if we ran up a bill, we'd always have kind of a backfall in terms of we do have money.
Well,
Yeah, but that's not the,
yeah, that's not the
Right, we have budgeted money, but those funds can't be touched. They're voted by the voters specifically for building or equipment.
this is just to, I mean, if I say, this card is to allow you to go out and get the things that we are all approved and want to have, and get them without having to come back and sign another warrant at the board meeting level in between times. So by raising the cap, we now they can operate more and we can relax a little longer.
But is 15,000 enough?
Yes.
Yes, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can juggle it enough that, but you know, what had happened, you know, this time that I found, and skills wasn't the big one. And that used up 8,000, almost 9,000 actually, of that. And then I couldn't book another one so that then we lose like a good airfare because I can't book it, so.
I'll move the amount of $15,000.
Second it.
Franny moved it, Leon seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, and
Thank you.
approval of the NEA and the ESP union contract?
Yes.
Talk to me.
Okay, so on the agenda is to approve the NEA and ESP contracts which have been settled. I'm going to read you just a brief list here of the highlights of it. For the teacher negotiations, and those who were at negotiations can chime in if they want. The tentative agreement with the teachers was reached on April 10th of this year. The teachers union has ratified the contract. There are no language changes. The only thing that was talked about was salary. It's a one-year contract, so starting July 1 to June 30th of 2020. That's primarily because of the health exchange and the new state health system. There's 3.5% new money inclusive of STEP. So all eligible teachers receive a STEP, which is $1,554, including an additional cost of living increase of 1.624%. So it does not mean that all teachers receive a 3.5% increase. It depends, it's new money, and depends on where you are on the grid. So it varies anywhere from, I think about 2.8 to maybe 3.9, something like that. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it varies a little bit based on where you are and stuff on the grid. And for the ESP, and Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, they have not ratified, or
No, they have
ratified it.
Yes, they have.
And that is 3% new money.
3.5%.
3.5%.
Yep, they followed the teachers.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. There's no other language discussed, so just strictly salary.
Move approved.
Second?
Lynn made the motion, Franny second. Any further discussion? Just a lot of thanks, guys. I've been on them before, and it's a lot of time, and you sometimes wonder if it's ever going to come to an end.
We gotta start again, right?
All in favor?
Yeah.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Let's go on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, again, thank you all for being here tonight. I have one item on my report this evening. I want to just, where you're sitting, I think I left you a copy of the Student Recognition Banquet program. For those of you that were able to make it, I'm glad that you were able to, and for those that weren't, you know, there's always next year. And so we know that not everyone can make everything. So this was a pretty special year. We're finishing our 50th year as an institution. And so this year is a little bit different. We had a lot of past staff and faculty members that were with us that were retired. We spent some time, Nicole and myself, and in a big committee actually, putting together the awards banquet. And so we kind of reached back into the archives. And if you've been to the Elks, you know that around the hall area there's a ledge where you can put things. So we picked, I think it was 9 small photos, some almost negatives and some newer stuff. And we picked, the theme was past, present, future of the center. So we had those printed out in very large format so you could see them from the tables around the room. And it wasn't about a particular program, it was about the center as a whole. And so it was pictures of the facility before it was even here, the construction timeline, the photos of it being built, a picture from the faculty and staff from, I think, 1999 into 2018. And so it was a really special night. And we were a packed house. We had almost 180 people at the Elks, and their capacity is about 185 or so we were pretty full. And it was a really nice night. So I want to congratulate all the students that received recognition at the awards banquet. We passed out several scholarships, including the Robert P. Scanlon Memorial Scholarship, the Bennington County Bar Association Scholarship, the Kelly Visual Arts and Performing Scholarship, the Gene Haas Scholarship, Theater Arts Scholarship, Abbey Group, and the Helen Mustos Sanders Scholarship. We also presented awards for perfect attendance, special recognition, technical excellence, and the Superintendent's Award, including the induction of National Technical Honor Society members. So I would like to just read quickly all of the award winners for the evening. Molly Austin for Medical Professions, Gabe Niles for Law Enforcement, Owen Maroney for Medical Professions, Teresa Snyder for Medical Professions, and Jordan Baraloni for Cosmetology. Those are perfect attendance awards. Special recognition awards were Brianna Murray from Accounting and Finance, Jacob Bordeaux from Automotive Technologies, Keegan Kuhn from Building Trades, Caroline Musinski from Medical Professions, Corey Hathaway, Theater Arts, and Ted Briggs from Video Production. And for our Technical Excellence Awards, Devin Burnell for Building Trades, Ty Evans for Business Management, Haley Loomis for Business Management, Jordan Baraloni for Cosmetology, Jasmine Roker-Stryker for Cosmetology, Chaz Pike for Forestry, Caroline Worthington, Human Services, Christopher Mayer for Pre-Law, Shayna Staub for Pre-Law, Rachel Langlois, Theater Arts, and Gabe Schatz for Video Production. New members that were introduced into the National Technical Honor Society included Tanner King, Haley Loomis, Sadie Leonard, Owen Maroney, Caroline Wazinski, Charissa Snyder, Evan Kozarak, Erica Scholes, and Sonia Snow. So those were all the award recipients for the evening. And I just want to say that it was been a lot of compliments on the evening. It was very nice to have the retirees that were there and the board members that could come and see the awards banquet. It's my favorite day of the year, actually, to see the students and what they've achieved in either 1 year or 2 years. It's honestly the most stressful day of the year for me, but we have a big group of folks who helped put it together. And I want to say thank you publicly to all the teachers and faculty and staff who helped. You know, this show doesn't run on its own here. It's not a one-person operation by any stretch of the imagination. We all have unique and intertwined roles here in the center to make all of these events happen, not just an awards banquet. You know, it's just a 2-hour snapshot of a whole year, and it can't be done alone. So thank you and congratulations to all the students. And many of these students are graduating this year, a tradition which we started 4 years ago. If you notice at graduation, whether it's MAUs or BBAs or whatever graduation your homeschool is, students are issued a completer cord, which is in gold, silver, and burgundy, which are our school colors, and they wear those proudly at graduation. And when we first started it, we didn't know how it would go, and kids are asking now, like in May, when do I get my completer cord, and why didn't I get one, and et cetera. So, it's a proud moment. They've completed a technical program at a tech center, which can be anywhere between 2 and 3 years. It's a huge commitment, and they should be recognized for it. So, yeah, MAU has graduated, BBA has graduated, Arlington's graduated, and we have a week and a half of the school. So the last day with students is June 19th, and the last day with our teachers is June 20th. And before you know it, we'll be back to school. We already have professional development plan for the opening of the school year, building on the foundation of things that we did this year. So I can't believe it's June already. It feels like we just started. So that's what I have.
Great.
I just wanted to comment on one thing that we have that deserve a little bit more special recognition when it comes to business and industry. And this is the most, at one time, the most since I've been here in 26 years, that we've had students, the number of students with perfect attendance in a particular category. So that number is constantly growing, and the emphasis that the Technical Center has been on in terms of attending classes and not being late and doing that, this number is increasing. And so I want to say that was a kudos and a good job in the attendance area in terms of the students, and that would work well with the business and industries out there, knowing that they can get students that value coming to work and being there on time.
Good comment, Leanne. Thank you.
Can I make a quick
Go ahead,
comment? I ran into a guy, he was doing some work at the house, and I told him I worked at the center and so forth, and he was saying that his daughter had gone through Dave's program, Dave Dentz's program, a few years back, and she wound up getting into Paul Smith and so forth with David's help and so forth, taking, the kids that he does over there every year just so they can see what the programs, what's available and all that kind of thing. And she graduated from there and is working in the field and so forth. And he was just thrilled with the involvement of the teachers in that whole process of kids, his kid specifically, getting into college and moving on and that next step. And he told me, I thought I'd tell you guys.
Thank you. Anything else, folks? Otherwise, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Brady made a motion, Leanne second. All in favor, raise your right hand. No objections, I see. All right.
So you want me to tell you about my